All right. All right. So it's another Phil and Michelle happy hour, but not happy hour again. We don't do very well actually doing these during happy
It's
hours. You're doing coffee
coffee
again.
time again. I know.
The
Yes.
only one with a, well, all right. We don't plan these very well. Holly earlier said we should have brought mimosas. I guess we're going to work on the cocktail part of this. But anyway, so we are joined by Marcie Richardson, this time from Guarantee. She recently had a big promotion to COO of Guarantee and has been involved in the industry for a while. She's a regular contributor to CNR and has been on panels with me and all the fun, amazing things. So, Marcie, welcome. I'm going to have you kind of introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background and Guarantee's background.
Okay. Um, Marcie Richardson. I'm the CEO of Guarantee Restoration. I've been with Guarantee for 6.5 years now. So I've come from the HR world. I've always done a little bit of insurance and different things. So that's where I'm at. Guarantee, actually, this is our 50th year that we've been in business. So it started in 1974 with Chunky and Ellen Folks. Sean Folks, their son, is our CEO now. So things are going and moving in a great direction for us across.
Good. So I have just a quick question and clarification.
Okay.
And this is just one kind of a stake in the ground for everybody. When you say COO, explain what that role is in your company and what that means.
Oh, well, I'm the first. I'm the first COO, so we're all learning together. How about that?
What were you before? Tell people what you
I was the director of HR before, but I will say it wasn't limited to HR. So let me also say that. So in HR, I was also logistics, facilities, IT. So HR was a bigger department before I got it. So with COO role now, I'm also over production and our claims department. So I just added a couple of departments. But the COO for me in the company is really the 30,000 foot view, right? Of how can I continue to move things forward? The other thing is also before, our CEO, Sean Folks, he was doing a lot of that role. And so to give him a little bit of more flexibility and breathing room, it is, okay, Marcie, you take on some of the responsibilities of what that is. So
what would you say your top 4 or 5 or 2 or 3 expectations, quantifiable?
Well, let's go down.
Say like quantifiable things you're trying to achieve and accomplish, and how do you know you're successful in that area of responsibility?
Oh, that is, man, I should have prepped for this one. So the things is the culture, right? Is the people, is the making sure that they're happy. Because I am a firm believer, and I think this is one of the pluses of me coming from HR to COO, is that the employee experience is resulting in a good customer experience. And if I have good employees that they're happy and what their productivity is, my customer experience is going to be, or the hope is to be top notch, right? And so that is one of the things that I look for, is that I'm measuring is the employee experience, what they're going through and what they're matching. And the other thing, I mean, it is numbers, it is all about the numbers. Are we being, hey, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
It is about, are we moving? Are we making some money? Are we growing? Because no company wants to stay stagnant. And so that's also part of the employees. If you have stagnant employees,
why we do these things.
right. I kind of like this. Tom McGuire, everybody. That if as a company, if you don't want to be stagnant, if your employees are moving and going, everything else is. So, for me in the operations role, it is a combo of that production and the employee experience.
Is there a strategic part of that as well? So do you have a leadership team, and that you're a member of the leadership team, or is there a kind of direction in operations?
So, I mean, there's a leadership team. We have an executive team and then we have our regional managers and branch managers that we go down, and all of that is funneled down to them of what we're talking about. So
do you oversee all the offices, and how many offices do you guys have?
So, the way that we're structured is I'm the CEO, then I have a director of production, and then we have regional managers who oversee 3 offices each, and then branch managers in each office. We have 6 locations in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So we're kind of very strategic. We're very planned of nobody has more than 5 to 6 direct reports. So when you're adding that up, we're really good, because we want to make sure everybody has a good connection and you're not spread so thin.
That came from HR.
That's an HR thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a
So I'm curious what it's been like for you. This is a perfect story of promoting people up within an organization. We talk about this all the time, right? And you've preached about this from your HR role. Like, if there are great people in the company, figure out how to promote them and find the right roles for them. And you've gotten to follow this journey on your way up. So what's it been like going through the transition yourself and re-identifying yourself kind of with the team, and you have new roles and responsibilities, and you were HR before and now it's a little bit different. So what's that been like going through the transition?
So with that, there's HR, you got this hat on, right? And sometimes you're limited of how much fun and joking and things like you do. Now I get a little bit of that back, right? I get to be a little more, and I hate to say it like this, but a little more of me, right? A little more snarky, I guess is the best way to say it. But the transition has been one of really, I won't say accomplishment, but really of showing, hey, you can do something else. And don't think just because there's not a position that one won't be there later on. Because like I said, this is COO. We've never had a COO. And so with growth in the company and that's part of, you're asking of what things I'm doing, it's making sure that I'm creating opportunity for somebody else. We want career pathways. We want people to stay within the companies for internal growth. And one of my main jobs and objectives is to create that, where everybody's talking about labor issues and different things. And if I'm not creating the opportunities, they're going to go. And so that's been a thing. And so I think my role and my progression is a really good testament of just the way that we think at Guarantee is that we want to grow internally. And so, and it's showing everybody, hey, you can do it. So
one of the great leaders that I had the opportunity to work with in the past, he'd come in and what he had said is my job is his partner and him said is to provide opportunities and remove obstacles. And if we're doing that, we feel like we're moving the company forward and being successful. And I can see that's a good portion of your role.
Yeah, that's 100% my job is to create the opportunities. I'm not there to be a roadblock. I'm like, okay, you have an idea. How can we make that happen? How can we capitalize that?
Okay, so to follow up on that, how have you managed to create a culture, which culture starts at the top down, and Sean is a great example of, doing funny things on social media, being really engaged, coming to industry shows. You are involved and everybody's involved from the top down. So where do you find this middle ground between, like, we're serious and professional, but we also have a lot of fun and don't take ourselves too seriously?
So the business is reactionary, right? You never know what tomorrow is going to bring. And so you have to make sure with all of that pressure that you're having fun doing it. Because if you're just kind of stiff and not moving forward, you're going to kill that. You've seen those videos. Some of them are funny. Some of them are, whatever. But what you're getting into. Hey, you know what? Guarantee has a fun culture. They like to just kind of let loose, and that's what we do. And when it's work time, we're all there. We're going to do the job. We're going to show up and perform professionally and be that, but also know that we're going to let it down. So, yeah.
Can you think of several of the biggest challenges in growing from, I don't know how many offices we've added while you've been there, but expanding to multi locations and it just both growing in size, but growing in locations and having control and also control of culture, but control of operations through that process.
Yeah. So, every office has a different personality, right? Since I've been there, we've added 2 offices and, the outlook is definitely to add some more in the future. But when you're showing up and hiring, okay, first of all, you got to I know what Guarantee's culture is. I know what our mission and I know what our values. And, Alabama and Mobile is going to be a different personality than in New Orleans. It's just the way it is. But when you're still there and you're showing up with the values and what we hold true, it's going to completely resonate. And that's the thing is that we're always there. And I go and visit the branches at least twice a month. And so they know they're not just left up to their own kind of free for all, I guess is best say.
Follow up to your transition in positions.
Okay.
Do people still come to you with HR questions and how do you handle that?
Yes. I think in this, there's a transition of an employees because they are comfortable with coming to me, and I'm good. I don't want them to be to not have that open door. I want them to have that open door to me and whatever they have. But what my goal and what I'm doing is training the branch managers and our regional managers to take on some of those topics, to have those open doors, to create that vulnerability and candidness that their employees can come to them whenever they want, so they feel comfortable and developing those relationships with the employees. And there's always a slight, I say, disconnect, because their managers are always the task oriented, right? They're always judging, hey, you're doing this or not doing this, and taking that away of, hey, opening yourself up to a little bit of what that individual is and things like that. So
I'm curious what it's like being a company that operates multiple offices in a cat zone. Like, you are prime ripe region for that. And like you said earlier, sometimes things are, you never know day to day what's going to happen. So what is it? This is a big question that could be a whole podcast by itself, but what's it like to be a company that is in a cat zone and kind of need to be prepared? We're coming into cat zone as we're or cat season as we're recording this. So what is it like to be at a company that needs to be prepared for big influxes, big influxes kind of at any time?
What is it to be company to be prepared? So, I mean, first of all, it's about the people, because, you train them. It's like, you could be out for 5, 6, 7 weeks, depending on what's going on. We've had some storms in the past years where we didn't have electricity. I had them all staying in campers, and generators are running, and they didn't have hot food, or they live on pizza for a week and a half, 2 weeks. And so what for us and being prepared is, okay, what do you need back at home? I tell people, if you're going to be away for some weeks, how can the company help prepare you? Right? We also talk about with employees, we train them. Hey, this is what your paperwork looks like. This is what we go. We do kind of our pre-season checklist. I always compare it to airline pilots. Right? No matter how many flights and hours that they've flown and stuff, they always do their checklist before every flight. Well, that's the way that we do it. We're going to go through our checklist. We're going to be prepared. We're not going to, deviate, because when that time happens, it's chaotic, right? You're going to go through, okay, this one, who's priority, what contracts, and different school systems and different things. So if what is solid, the reaction part is going to be minimal, because all of the proactive and things that you're doing on the front end is going to be kind of that automatic, hey, I got that. So
give some examples of things that you do for people at home, like for the families that are left behind as your team is going to a cat zone. What are some of the things that are done for your team's families that are behind?
Cutting the grass. A lot of the people that are on a cat team, I mean, they are the males, the husbands of they're how do you cut your lawn? You don't think about that stuff, right? How do you do that? Even the moms with kids, how can I help them, ease that burden off? What groceries, what do they need to do? What can I provide to them? Because there's always those parts of it that you just don't think of. When somebody is out on a cat loss, I don't want them thinking about, crap, what's going on at home, right? They're getting texts from their spouse or their significant other of all of these things. How can I put their mind at ease, so when they're there and they're on the job, they're not missing a step because they're getting a text or they're thinking what's going on at home. So whatever that means and looks like for that individual, that's what I'm on.
That's a really nice step.
Yeah.
It goes to something I said yesterday. Zig Ziglar said you can't be at home thinking about work and work thinking about home.
Exactly.
And so in order to do that, you have to help the employee accommodate that other side of that.
Right.
So I think that's an important element. So when you guys go through this, you have a pretty comprehensive catastrophe plan. At the end of an event, do you guys get together and debrief it and knock it apart and say what needs to be better next time?
Absolutely. You have to debrief, because, it seems like we've done cat work for a while, but it's only been about 4 years that we've really gotten into it. And every year you learn something, right? You learn, and what could we have done differently? I mean, from tracking temp hours and having them, clock in on the site, writing that down, tick sheets, all of these things. So you have to look at, hey, where did we go right? Where did we go wrong? And what can we keep going? We're good with us. We have a lot of partner companies too that we work with, and we're partner on different jobs. And so we all get together. It's like, hey, how did this work on this job? What do we do right and well? So yeah, you have to debrief if you want to do better.
That was some of the feedback I got. You'd asked earlier, where the information I get on Guarantee, and it was your response from catastrophes and partners you've had on the road, and the feedback was you guys performed really solidly, and I think the review process is an important element of that.
Yeah.
So, industry for 6 years, right?
Yes.
What's your favorite part about restoration? What do you like about the industry?
This may sound funny, but I like the heart of the industry, because we talk about values as a company, but I think there's a shared value that the restoration industry has. And if you help people, we all know those same things that we say at their worst times and everything, but everybody just has a sincere heart. I mean, Michelle, you're doing the magazine, but you have a shared value in your heart of what it is, because you're connecting to what that is. And it's just something that resonates with me. I believe my purpose and where I want to be is as a, is pushing people to do better. Right. And I see that everybody in this industry just wants to be better, whether it's themselves and making other people better, it's making the customer better, however that looks. It's just to the heart, and it speaks to the genuine purpose of what we do.
Okay, that was a perfect segue, I think, to bring it home then. The last question is the only question we ever prep anybody with. Everything else is just whatever Phil and I feel like talking about, I guess. Okay, so share a favorite story from your time in the industry so far. It could be a loss, it could be something with an employee, anything. Favorite story.
Better be good.
Well, yeah. Every year, and this is something that I look forward to, as simple as it is. So every year, and it's actually this Friday, we do an employee crawfish boil. Okay. And so if you've never been to a crawfish boil, they're just all the crawfish boiled, poured onto a table. So what we do is myself, our CEO, Sean, and our executive team, we serve our employees. And as it's not fun, but it's a humbling, and I want to give back, and it's all about them at that time. And when I look at, it'll be 3 years ago this July, we had our director of operations pass away, and very unexpectedly. And that season was Hurricane Ida in August. And when I saw how good our team could pull together, and when I was serving our employees at that time, it just kind of choked me out. You're talking about the heart, and that's where it is, because and it was kind of a mirror of what restoration, you can go through the highs and lows, but you're always pulling back together. And that's how I looked at Guarantee, and I continue to look at Guarantee, is that no matter what comes our way, we're going to pull together, and that's where we're going to go forward together. So
I think it's really cool to have a place that gives employees a belonging. So their world can be kind of out of order and all messed up or difficult or trouble, financial challenges or kid problems or whatever. But if they've got a home base, they got a place that cares about them.
Yeah.
That really gives them some peace and respite from the chaos everywhere else. And so it's neat that you can have that in a company.
Perfect. All right. Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up? Phil, anything else you want to ask Marcie?
Yeah, give me your 17 point. No, I'm just kidding. Marcie, thank you for being here. You should be proud of what you've accomplished and what your team at Guarantee has accomplished, because I know that it's not always it's never an individual responsibility. It's a team and it's a collective, and you guys should be very proud of what you've done. So thank you for being here.